Live here.
Live!
But we don't have to necessarily know what that means.
What's the someday of blank?
I don't
there's
know
a
that we
reason
want to-
this story happens now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the movie writes itself. Ooh. Well,
I'm still streaming. How do I stop streaming? No!
so I've actually decided to come to you live solo right now because I can actually see what's on Jake's camera. It's a little steamy. It's kind of a little nuts, and I'm not sure whether I should share it with the rest of the world at the moment. I don't know. Should we give you a little peek? Give you a little peek here. Oh, there he is.
I thought this was my OnlyFans. Got the streams mixed up. Everything's going to be okay, Ben.
Everything's going to be okay. We are here, Ben Lustig and Jake Thornton, writing a movie live for you here on Facebook and YouTube. And yeah, it's Tuesday, October 11th at 2 p.m.
Sure,
where are you right now?
So I've had to move out of my house for a week because I've got a flood in my kitchen. I've got water mitigation going on. It's banging and scraping and screaming and crying. So anyway, we're in a little Airbnb in Vancouver, Washington.
Yes.
So anyway, that's where I'll be for the next week. So anyway, there you are. That's why.
Yeah. So we're back, and we are being watched by only one person at the moment.
That's all we need. What's Pliskin? Says Siri. Well, it's a play on the name Snake Plissken.
Yes, it is.
Who is the character from Escape from New York?
Yeah.
And Escape from... There were two, weren't there? What was the other one? Escape from...
yeah, it was this
Las Vegas?
LA. It was Escape
LA.
From... Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. There you are, Siri. My wife's downstairs like, huh? What are you talking about? What are you last night? What's a Pliskin?
Why haven't they done the Escape from New York TV show? That's what I want to know.
Oh. That's right? They were trying to do the movie again. I remember when it went a few years ago. I feel like I saw that announcement. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they tried.
But yeah, they should do a TV show. After this, we should find out who has the rights.
Who has those rights? Good. We'll have to call them up.
Yeah.
Call them up, UTA. Get on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care that you're on your honeymoon. Get off. Come on.
Get off your honeymoon.
Get off your honeymoon and call up Kurt Russell.
Yeah. It's funny. You know, here we are on a Tuesday. We're about to do some more outlining today. Which is exciting to continue.
Just in case you hadn't had enough of outlining, we're going to do some more.
Just in case, we are going to do some more. But I do think it would be good to try and switch it up a little bit. We talked about this once, about maybe spending the first quarter to half of our, somewhere around there, episode, talking about something that might be interesting to writers or screenwriting related or career related, business related, so that people aren't just watching us outline for
That's fine. What shall we discuss today? And again, we've not come with any ideas.
We haven't.
Coming to this naked, just
same
like
as always.
Same as always.
I'm throwing it out there. You have
Jake
didn't even know I was going to say that.
It was a live reaction.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it's something that is an interesting process. That I think we should talk about IP. IP is a big. This may actually require more than just.
Yeah, this is more than a 15-minute conversation, Ben. But
but it's worth bringing up because I think a lot of writers out there, you know, we're writing a spec. A spec is obviously an original idea, an idea that you watched us come up with live because we did not come to this with any other ideas. So that is a spec. But most movies that get made in Hollywood of 2022 are not specs. We're very fortunate. Our spec, The Princess, did get made. If you haven't gone and seen it, it's on Hulu. Plug. But you know,
Or Disney Plus. Plug, depending if
or
you're
Disney Plus if you're watching overseas. That's right. Jake's right. He is the Brit, so it's his responsibility.
So exactly. So when I was back home over the summer, put on Disney Plus, there was the princess.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
But you know, the reality is IP is king in Hollywood still to this day.
What's IP, Ben?
Well, here's the thing. IP is intellectual property. That's what it stands for. And it can come in many different shapes and sizes. It can be anything from a book, a comic book. It could be a pre-existing movie. It could be a pre-existing television show. It could be a song. It could be a poem. It could be
a product.
It can be a product, which nowadays we see a lot of. Barbie is going to be coming out soon. That is an IP and a big one. It could be, you know, really anything that is an intellectual property that is not owned by you.
However, there is public domain IP, which
correct,
is
which
IP.
Technically isn't IP, and yet we use the term IP for it because it's nobody's property. It is public domain, but it was somebody's property once.
So, for example, we have a script that's about to go on sale called 40 Thieves, which uses the world of 1001 Arabian Nights, but specifically the 40 Thieves in a loose sense.
Yes.
You know, but again, if the author was alive today who'd written 1001 Arabian Nights, we would have to acquire the rights to do that.
Yes. And I think that for the sake of this conversation, let's hold the public domain and free IP off the table, because in theory you could spec, and we have specced, public domain and free IP. Pre-awareness is another thing we will talk about quite a bit. We discussed a little bit of it at the beginning of cracking this.
We did.
And I do think that is still important. It's how you're able to write an original idea and kind of skirt around the IP is king aspect of Hollywood. But for the sake of this particular episode 19 conversation, let's I want to talk about the IP that we don't control, and how at a certain point in a writer's career, hopefully we wish all of you, those of you who are aspiring writers, those of you who are already working writers, go and
you know this.
You know this. You can like fast forward if you want. No, seriously. Hopefully, you know, you'll be given the opportunity to adapt IP, and that's a tricky thing. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. Jake, we have been adapting a non-original IP since our second job. The first thing we did after we sold our big spec Winter's Night, which was, interestingly enough, based on public domain and pre-awareness IP. It's both Santa Claus and a book written by L. Frank Baum. But that we spec'd because we didn't need the rights. But the first thing we did after that is we ended up getting a job adapting John Scalzi's amazing books, The Old Man War saga. It's a bunch of books at this point. And we did that for UCP and Sci-Fi. And it was fantastic. But it took a completely different set of skills that I think we had never used before.
Totally. So when you are lucky enough to be approached about adapting a piece of IP, there's two ways that there's one way that you're going to get that job. You're going to pitch on that job.
Yes.
You know, so someone else owns the rights to that. So normally it's going to be a studio or a producer. And they're going to say, hey, we've got the rights to in this particular case John Scalzi's Old Man's War. Would you be interested? So you go away, and we read all the books in that series, and we put together a take. So that would be probably a mini pitch for where our mind goes with a particular property. And at that point, if they like your initial take, they'll say, "Come back with a full pitch. We would like to present your idea to a buyer." Now, with that particular one, we didn't know that we weren't the only ones presenting.
We had no idea.
Had no idea.
And there were quite a lot of people that we had to pitch to. And interestingly enough,
yeah,
we do the mini take, I think, more today because we've realized how much time goes into adapting IP, especially in television.
Yeah.
And so, but back then, I feel like we put together almost an entire pitch just for the producer level. Just for the initial conversation. We went in having read all the books, knowing we had an initial conversation to hear what they were looking for. But basically, we went away and we had never pitched anything. It was our very first pitch. And I think our pitch was 40 minutes long.
It was 45 minutes long.
It was 45 minutes long. But this was a TV show, and it was a lot of books, and we had no fucking clue what we were doing. So we tried our best. On that one, the late and great Wolfgang Peterson was a director and producer. And we pitched him and his incredible executives, and we pitched Scott Stuber, who was also a producer, his company and his incredible team. Then there were even more hoops to jump through. The interesting thing is on that, because the IP was already held by a network all the way to the network, they already knew they wanted to make the show. Yeah. So they were looking, it was what's called an open writing assignment, an OWA. Not all IP gigs are that way.
That's right.
In fact,
this was actually a job.
That was actually
so at the end of it, there was a studio going, yes, we are going to hire someone and we're going to pay them to write this show. Now, if it's a producer who has the right, so for example, a few years ago, we were hired to adapt Final Fantasy. Now, I guess there was a studio with that as well.
That was different, but
that was different. Yeah. So in theory, that
House of the Scorpion.
House of the Scorpion, great, cool, yes.
So we
House of the Scorpion was a book by Nancy Farmer. Yep.
Incredible book. We had the pleasure of working with the Jim Henson Company, director Carlos Saldana and producer Marisa Pullman. But they came to us and said, "Hey, we've got the rights to this book. Are you guys interested?" We went away, read the book. We were like, "Yeah, this could be really cool." But then what you have to do is you have to figure out, well, how the heck am I going to make this person's work mine and ours? How are we going to make it something that makes sense for us? How are we going to make it work in the format, whether it's adapting it as a movie, adapting it as a TV show? We've done both. And how then are you going to convince a buyer that not only is it worth paying you to write this, but also pay for the rights to write this? And
Absolutely.
Not all IP is equal, and it is a very and you
have to make a choice. And that's it as well. Is that I think we've been presented with video games and comic books that we go, does anyone really care about this?
Yeah.
Now sometimes for a studio, that doesn't matter.
Right.
We've been presented with a book recently that has 40 reviews on Amazon, and Disney Plus want to make it into a show. And you go, okay, so there's just something that you like in this idea. Cool. Now, to be clear, we like the book, we like this particular property, but this isn't like, this is sold 10,000 million copies and it's a New York Times bestseller.
We pitched on a book that had never even been released.
Totally happens to do. Yes.
And sold it.
Yes, that's right. In that particular case, I think you have to go, do you respond to the idea?
Do you think that the movie or the TV show could sustain does the idea sustain itself even without the IP? Is it that fucking cool?
I mean, and regardless of whether, that you have to love the idea anyway. You have to love it anyway.
IP is king, but just because it's IP doesn't mean you should sacrifice your original ideas and only work on IP.
Yeah.
I think we've come to a place where We now are doing mainly originals, but we will introduce 1 or 2 pieces of IP to our slate at a time as when it comes, and it will also depend on the stage of development. We will pitch on a real job that somewhere like a Disney Plus really wants to make, especially if it's cool, because great. I mean, if it's cool, awesome. If it's a producer who approaches us with a book, which one did last year, and I can't necessarily talk about this project at the moment, but we worked on it for a year and finally took it in, and we're going to continue to move forward with it. But this was not. It was a speculative pitch on somebody else's
and it still
property.
is.
And it still is. Yeah, no, it's
until a network says yes. I'm going to write you a check.
Right.
It is all speculative work, and that is part of the business, I think, of screenwriting. Absolutely, at the moment. I mean, for a long time it has been.
For a long time.
There is a property.
20 years more so. The last 15 years even more so. I mean, there's always been IP for sure, but the 90s and the early 2000s, I feel like there was still a lot more original.
A lot more original stuff, but it feels like and again, it's partly because I think a lot of studios feel that IP like that has been quote unquote pre-vetted. Again, though, interestingly, this book that we've been sent recently, I go, how has that been pre-vetted? But again, I like it, so it's okay.
Well, it's been pre-vetted in the sense
because it's been published.
The idea, it's not about pre-vetted. There's a proof of concept. The concept has already been made into a medium whereby the people who have bought it think it works. They liked it, they enjoyed it, they saw, this is good story. And so now they want to make it into a different medium. So there is value in that. But I think, one of the hardest things about pitching on IP that you don't own, that isn't a job that you're going to, if you win the Bake Off, which nowadays, most of the time, it will not just be you going out for it. If it's a real job, you're going to be going up against multiple other writers for it, which is a lot of time. There was a lot of Twitter chatter over the Lord of the Rings and JD and Patrick and them getting the show and all the other people that pitched on it and all the work that they had to do. 5 seasons they had to come up with. And all those people, however many there were, Jake and I were in the very, very, very first round.
We were.
We pitched a take on Lord of the Rings too. Thankfully, we put in, I would say, on that take about a week's worth of work.
Yeah, I want to say it's about a week's worth of work.
That was a week's worth of work of cracking the idea of putting together what we thought a show could be. We didn't go into 5 seasons, not by a long shot.
Yeah.
We had a meeting. We wanted to be taken seriously. We knew we were way lower level, and this was a massive, expensive IP. So we went in and we took a big swing, because a lot of times when you're a lower to mid-level writer, you're going up against big-time writers, and if you don't blow them away with a version of the idea that no one else is coming in with, you might not get it. Now that can backfire.
Of course. Really we had that recently. We were presented with a script that needed a rewrite, and we presented really our version of what that was going to be, and we went big and bold with it.
Yes.
And it didn't go our way. And the studio were like, this is not the direction we want to take this in. And it's like, that's fine. But at least they would have known what our version of it was going to be. And it was a big and bold take. And so I would really encourage that.
I think we made the right choice there, because
I do too.
Had we gone in with the traditional, here's what the movie would be, the same, bread and butter that everyone else might bring in, they wouldn't have hired us. They'd hire the guy who's had 10 movies made, not one.
Exactly.
So, and that's totally fine, and I don't judge them for that, because their jobs are on the line.
There's a great story. There's a great story that a producer told us a little while ago, which was there was a TV show that's on a streamer, and they had heard about, based on a book series, and the network had heard a whole bunch of takes. And this particular writer's meeting was meant to be on the Monday. And on the Friday evening, this person heard the studio have made a decision, just so you know. And this person was like, well, I still want to go in and meet with them. And completely rebroke their story over the weekend. Rebroke it and went in with a really big, bold idea, knowing that the network had already hired someone. The network had already hired someone. Went in on Monday and did their pitch, and the network were like, "Oh wow, okay, that is so different. That is such a bold take on this. Actually, you're the one to get the job."
Yeah.
So it
great,
happens.
It's a great story.
Yeah, and that's now a very successful streaming show.
And it's the kind of thing where, I mean, here's my, and we've talked about this a bunch, so I'll put that out. I'll put this out there. The problem that I see with writers and IP is this dilemma of, I don't own the work that I've done, nor have I been paid for the work that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes, and we did this on a video game not that long ago, we put together a take on this great game, and we didn't get the job for various reasons. But that take, we could actually then cross out the name of the video game, put our own spin on it, and actually write that movie originally. And so that's great. When those ones come along, you go, fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We have an idea now. If we ever want to write that movie, we can. No one can say no.
Yeah.
But there are some ideas, like the book series that we're pitching at the moment.
Yeah.
Never go away and just write our own.
No.
And yet we put a year of our life into it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of issues in Hollywood with writers doing free work. And to me, as a writer, speculative work is speculative work. And we should, if we want to bet on ourselves,
totally.
I believe in that 100%. And I love betting on us, and I'll bet on us any day of the week. But if someone is asking you to come in and pitch on somebody else's thing, well, that is kind of a different story. And I think there needs to be some changes about how many writers are asked to come in on takes for these things, whether there's compensation for those pitches, and how that whole process is handled. Because if the companies are still going to want to just really be IP driven content companies, they're asking all of us to put in an enormous amount of time on these ideas that we then can't spec. But it's difficult because some will say, and you made a very valid point, which is, if you put restrictions on the company, if you say, oh, well, a bake-off can only be restricted to 10 writers, or if you say, oh, well, if you want to have writers pitch on an IP, you have to pay them.
Well, there was this interesting video that was going around yesterday that I actually retweeted, which was by an actress saying, did you know that in the SAG agreement, you have to pay actors to audition?
What?
And said no one ever enforces it, but you're meant to be paid half a day's wages to audition. In today's money, it's $587
just to show up for an audition.
Just to show up to an audition, apparently, if you're SAG.
That's kind of. I don't know how SAG ever got that through. That's got to be a really old law.
Really old. It's from like 1937. It's really old.
Because
it's really old.
Companies would never agree to that today.
Yeah, no, totally. But it was interesting, she was saying, because again, what's happening at the moment today with actors is it's all self-tapes.
Yeah.
It's all self-tapes. So you have to be, cameraman, gaffer, set decorator. You have to have someone else there. And because it's all home tapes at the moment, self-tapes, people just expect you to do it like that. They give it to you the night before. I mean, that was always the case with acting anyway.
Oh, God,
night before, but even on holidays, weekends, because you're doing it at home. You don't have to come in anywhere. Anyway, but the conversation started up, and I was talking with Lee Shorten online about it, saying, and he made a point as well, which is like, if you were going to say, yes, we will pay people to audition, then you're only going to audition 20 people. It's really going to go down, and you're only going to go for the people that you think are going to be really right for it. It's going to increase, I think, typecasting even more, or just going with, I think it's going to completely obliterate anyone who wouldn't just be able to walk in and blow someone away and get a part.
It is interesting.
I think it's the same for writers too. I think there should be opportunities for, everyone. There should be opportunities for everyone. Again, everyone. You have to be right for it, etc.
The question of, and it's a constant writer question of, how much free work is too much free work?
Yeah.
How much are we expected to do? Our skill, our contribution is coming up with an idea.
Yeah.
We are constantly coming up with ideas for people for free. Then we're giving away our talent for free.
Yeah. I think there should be and we were talking about it the other day, this concept of a tiered system. I think having that initial take conversation, I don't mind putting a week's work in, if it's the opportunity to move forward. I really don't mind doing that. Again, if the IP is right, if I'm really passionate about it, sure, Lord of the Rings was like, a week's work, fine. I'll happily do a week's work to pitch on the Lord of the Rings show. Had we been asked
over Christmas to pitch Highlander,
we did. Absolutely right. Yeah, we completely were like, we want to do Highlander. We didn't get Highlander, but we want to do Highlander.
Yeah.
But then I think if it comes down to, now we want you to develop a full pitch because we like your initial way in, I think at that point, studios should pay something. They should pay something. They really should. And I'd love to see. And again, I think the vast majority of WGA members are TV writers.
Yeah.
So I would really like to see stuff like that happening. So anyway, if you are on the WGA board, maybe we should just write a letter. We can communicate with our board members like that, can't we? But anyway, I think it would be great.
Well, this was a good chat about the business of IP. If anyone has a question about IP,
should you ever spec IP?
Well, here's the thing. There are times, and we know a writer.
We do.
Specifically, who has spec'd IP. And it all depends. Again, with a spec, you're always betting on yourself and on the idea and on what you it's all a gamble, right? I mean, everything's a gamble. If you put a pitch together, you're technically speculatively putting that pitch together.
That's right.
So how much time are you, it's cost benefit. How much time are you willing to gamble to potentially have no return or big return? The return will be bigger on a spec usually than a pitch. That tends to be the way that it goes. But I think it's a huge gamble to spec an IP because you don't own that property. Correct.
You cannot then take that script in 10 years' time and be in a general meeting and someone say, hey, have you got any old scripts lying around? You can't say, hey, I've got this old Final Fantasy script you guys can have. Oh, no, you can't have it because you don't have the rights to it. But if it's your original spec, you can.
Yes.
And we've just experienced that. We're going through it. The company at the moment is optioning a spec from us that's 12 years old.
Yeah.
10 years old, 10 or 12 years old. 11. Let's go 11. Me in the middle.
Their optioning isn't that old.
Right, but you know what I mean.
But I know what you mean. Yes. No, I think that the cases that we would spec a piece of IP as a full script would be very rare. I think in the case of our friend who did it, we probably do that too. And again, this person is going, well, I'll do this on spec, but you have to make me whole when it sells, and I want producer credit with points. Right.
So I will do the work up front. We need to make sure that I am thoroughly compensated.
The bigger you are, the easier the bet. It's all about odds.
Absolutely, of course, you're always playing odds. So
I don't think that we're at the point. Well,
no.
that our career is where the odds would swing in our favor on protecting the IP enough to where I'd feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is it. That is our talk.
That's our talk.
Business of IP and screenwriting. And
fabulous. And look at that. Almost exactly 30 minutes.
30 minutes in. And now we're going to move on to the non-IP based screenplay that we're
Let's get down to the work. We should have like little blurbs, like the work. Jake, do the work.
Right?
While you're cracking that open there, just to let you know, folks, we're going to have a couple of days off towards the end of this week. The work. A couple of days off towards the end of this week because Ben's having a baby. So Thursday and Friday we're not going to be on, and Monday and Tuesday.
Yes, Monday and Tuesday we might be able to be on. Yeah, Monday will be challenging.
New baby will be practically changing herself by that point.
We're going to be coming back from the hospital Sunday afternoon.
Cool.
So
great.
Our first night in the house with the new baby will be Sunday night. I don't think Monday is going to happen.
Monday. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either. But anyway, let's aim for Tuesday, and if it doesn't happen, you know why.
Right.
Well, Ben's going to open. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Jake Thornton. Ben is at Ben_Lustig. There was another Ben Lustig. One day I'm going to find him and assassinate him. I'm joking. That wasn't a threat. I'm not actually threatening another person called Ben Lustig. We're also on Facebook. Some of you watching us on Facebook now, but we are at Lustig Thornton on Facebook. We have our own page. It's terribly exciting, and we are, I think, as of tomorrow, didn't we just discover we are actually at the point where we can get our vanity link tomorrow.
Two things happen tomorrow.
What happened tomorrow?
One, it is our 20th episode tomorrow.
Let's celebrate with a vanity link.
And we are going to finally get that vanity link tomorrow. I hope. I mean, I hope I didn't just jinx us, but we should be able to get that vanity link tomorrow, Jake.
Yeah, so do it. Sounds
20 episodes. We've done over 20 hours of this. It's pretty awesome. Crazy. I will say, just before we jump in, to anyone that's listening or watching, we're so appreciative of you guys hanging out and being with us, and hope that you guys are getting something out of the process.
Something from it. I mean, there was just a really nice comment the other day, which was, I'm so glad to hear that it's as difficult for professional writers as it is for, people who are aspiring, because it's true. Like the work is the work.
It is
the work. It's the work. Jake and Ben do the work.
Yeah. So anyway, if you are getting something from it, please ask or pass along this information to your friends, colleagues, whomever.
We're supposed to have this podcast episode drop today as well. I'd love to be able to link to it. It was
do that.
Yeah,
we'll put it in the comments.
We'll put it in the comments.
We will definitely link the podcast that we were guests on in the comments. We have 128 followers on YouTube, which is or subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. Great. I want to see more. The next goal is 1,000. I want 1,000 subscribers.
For 128 to 1,000. I mean, can we not just do it in stages, like 200 to
100?
Double.
I'm going I'm just adding a 0. We went to 100. First it was 10, then it was 100. Now it's 1,000.
Right. Great. I mean, great. Sure, sounds great.
Why not? Aim big.
I'm going to go for the next meaningful for me would be 500 subscribers.
Worthless.
Half as good. Literally half as good.
Does nothing. Aim for the moon. If you aim for the moon, you'll land somewhere among the stars.
This is true. You aim for 1,000, hit 500 in your sleep. Hank. So we've gone to Hank. Hank is our demon hunter character. Mm-hmm. We have discovered that in his fallout shelter, he basically keeps a demon. What does a demon look like is a question we asked ourselves yesterday. Hank has a Ghostbusters. This is the note to ourselves meets Batman setup to track demon activity on Earth. So let's answer that first question. What does a demon look like in this world? I'd mentioned yesterday that angels, when you see angels depicted in traditional art, they're just people with wings. There's nothing other about them at all. other than perhaps a Nimbus of Power, aka a halo, playing around their head sometimes. But what does a demon look like? Again, what does a demon look like traditionally? I think if we go like, what are the kind of stock placeholders? I think it's little pointy tail, hooves, goat eyes, maybe a forked tongue, little pitchfork. That's what I think of when I immediately say demon. Well, those are just some. Again, if I say angel, I go long flowing white gown, blonde hair, wings, and a halo. Not laughing at me now, are you? Like, yes, that is what an angel looks like. What do you think of when you think of demon?
That's not what I think of either as an angel, interestingly enough.
There you go, great. So what do you think of when you think of a demon?
It's funny. I don't think of either of the kind of cartoony iterations. I think of probably things that I've seen more in pop culture, more like movie based. Like when I think of a demon, I think of something probably monstrous. When I think of an angel, wings, but I don't think of a white flowy gown or a halo.
Okay, sure.
Blonde hair. Partly mainly because I think the versions of those that I've seen the most recently have been that way. I mean, like even just watching, whether it's been Lucifer or Constantine, neither depicted those things in those ways.
Sure. Yeah.
I think in 2022, the versions of whether it's Legion or Constantine or Lucifer, one of these, that's probably what people's minds go to. If they're non-religious. If they're religious, they go to church and they probably see the angel in church. I am not. I don't see those images on a regular basis.
Sure. I think probably growing up in the UK was presented far more with that kind of imagery. I think it just being a very old Christian nation and just going to, again, my family aren't Christian, but I love walking through old churches. Love it. It's amazing. It was at Windsor Castle the last time I went to the UK over the summer, and we went into St. George's Chapel there, and it was just like, it was kind of moving. This place had been like built by people, and it was amazing. But anyway, so I think that's probably what I have a little bit more of. But anyway, point being though is that actually I think we can spin it on its head and do whatever we want with it.
I'm going to share a different screen real quick, and I'm going to just go to something else that we tend to do, which is Google, and just look at it. So this is when you Google them in. Yeah, this comes up first. This is the first Google page.
Yeah,
and obviously, these are quite scary images.
Look down there, little guy with a pitchfork, some hooves, and a little pointy tail.
There you go. That is the Jake demon.
That's
now on, I'm going to call him Jakey.
There you go.
Jakey the demon.
Jakey the demon.
I think that there you go, and there's Jakey's brother.
There's Jakey's brother. There you go.
Now. It's interesting. I do think of, obviously there's a lot of kind of Lucifer-esque imagery going on here. Some of this, I don't even know why this is in Google. I guess we got to be careful about what scrolling live, because God knows what's going to show up. Like there might be.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there might be. Yeah, totally.
YouTube-friendly content on here.
Totally. Yeah.
I should probably take that off, but I can.
So, again, I think there's an opportunity to do something that we haven't seen before, and I think that's interesting. I mean, like, are they fucking super pale with no hair? Do we do something else with it? I'd said yesterday, like, what if their skin is actually pitch black? I've not seen a demon that looks like that before. Pitch black. They look like people, but bald, pitch black skin, maybe piercings. I go, oh, what's that?
I think that's cool. I think that would be very difficult to look at as a character and not just as a monster. like from more than, especially from more than one character. If we're gonna have more than one demon in the movie,
Sure.
we are. I think we got to be thinking in terms of, you know, what does it look like to have demons talking with each other in a scene? And you know, clear in the 1925 version and with Charlize, they all look like people.
They
Right?
look like people. Yeah,
We have one
we're
beat-
seeing them as the rest of the world sees them in that.
and we have one beat where in this puddle down in the boiler room after the pipe bursts, we see her demon form, and we'll talk about what the repercussions of that power, that weakness is. But you know, I like what you're saying in terms of what's the version that we haven't seen. You know, I don't entirely know. You know, like, but I don't think if there's going to be monster demons, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. If there's going to be monster demons, which I'm down with, by the way, like even dogs and shit like that.
Sure.
They should be a different species of demon. And there can be, you could use demon as in mammal.
Yes.
You know, and
it's a catch-all term. Yeah.
It's a catch-all term for anything
variety of
from the hell space, you know.
Sure.
Anything from that plane of existence.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, you know, I haven't watched the new Hellraiser. I'm going to at some point over the next week. But you think of the Cenobites in that, and if you told me like they're demons, I'd be like, yeah, of course they are. You know?
Yeah, it's like saying alien, right? It's
Totally.
like, they're all different kinds of aliens. They're all.
Do you mean the alien Xenomorphs, or do you mean the aliens from Independence Day, or do you mean Alf?
I'm leaning towards believing that there are these different types of demons, because actually what it does for me story-wise is that what we start to see are these kind of lower level, not supposed to be out of hell demons.
Right.
And that's this kind of what's changing in the world, right? Also, like, I'd love to see Hank. Hank, we're saying, has this awesome Ghostbusters meets Batman setup. So it can either be on a computer screen, or we could have like an old, like, cool tome kind of a book that kind of depicts all the different kinds of demons, like a demon encyclopedia. And immediately, boom, we know there are different kinds of demons. I don't need to know every kind. We could come up with new kinds on the fly.
Totally.
Show that he's either got a file filled with demons.
He's got an old leather-bound Liber Demonica on his shelf,
right?
And
it's down here, right? So, and I do think, like, you know, I'm just gonna put this in here because you know, and there could be like a bookshelf with all kinds of
old occult oldie, totally.
One specifically is on.
He's Giles from Buffy.
Because I think this guy's relatively new. I think he's been holding here only here.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah, for sure.
On the desk is titled. What did you call it? I liked that.
The Liber Demonica. Liber. Yeah.
Oh, Demonica.
Yeah. Liber. I think it's Liber.
Liber. The Liber Demonica. All right, cool. Now we've just created more lore. I love it. The point is to answer this question. I'm just going to put this just kind of here. Demon is a catch-all for creatures of essentially hell. So Charlize is a, you know, kind of like upper level.
Yes, totally. Just like with Orders of Angels, and again, I'm sure we could find something that you know.
We probably could link it to actual mythology. I'd rather not.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm just having a little look. Right, but there are classifications of demons that have been done throughout time. You know, different hierarchies.
This demon that's here. Is not as high level as Charlize. But so we can have a little bit more fun with the way that he potentially looks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's not like a demon dog monster either.
Right.
You know? And
Right.
he's not a poltergeist possessor.
Right.
Type thing.
Totally. Yeah.
This guy, I like, you know, maybe he is the kind of like, you know, is there a version where he is kind of like almost like albino white Paul
Totally.
Bettany style from like Priest?
Totally. I think that's really
like,
cool.
with
Kind
red
of
eyes
quite
and everything.
quite creepy. Yeah, if he
Yeah.
was like a bald albino.
Oh, he's what's his name in Logan?
Yes, totally. Yes, Stephen
Yeah.
Merchant's character in Logan. Yeah, great, absolutely.
Hold up,
Bald, a bit skinny, got some weird piercings.
And
you know, you get someone who can do body contortion stuff.
Yeah, you know, and I think
creepy. Unsettling.
He would be like a class of demon that would not usually be out in the world.
Yes.
You know who else he reminds me of? Like also, like I think of like Mad Max Fury Road. Those guys.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, the something boys, you know.
Yes. What were they? Yes. Well, I'm blanking on that right now. Yes. Yeah.
The boys from Fury Road. You know, and so when Hank went through the text should be open to the page that says what kind he is.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
The book is open to the page describing. And what's great is describing him. What's cool is, first of all, if I see a book open to a page and I've got an image with some descriptive details, right? And then I go and I see this demon who is clearly not the same kind of demon that Charlize is.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to get into more details, great. If we don't, I've just established in one visual that there's lots of different kinds of demons out there.
Totally. Absolutely right. Yeah.
I don't need anything else. That's it.
Yep.
We just established it. Done.
Great.
So Hank is gonna, and so let's name this. Let's name this fun little character of a demon. Is he? Here's a question: is Hank gonna kill him, or is Hank gonna put like a fucking dog collar on him and bring him on the journey with him?
I think he should be brought on a journey with. I think it's hilarious. He keeps him in the trunk of his car,
and then he dies at some point, though.
He dies at some point. Yes. He keeps him locked up in a box.
So this is like another fun. This cast is getting really big, though. I just gotta say.
Yeah. Okay. I hear that.
But I do like it. I do.
Yeah.
Really like like if he is the guy from, you know, like Logan, like the way that they kind of like pulled him into the truck and kept him with them and like tortured him basically. I mean, it sucks. Like Hank kind of becomes a bad guy for it, but
he's a demon.
This
guy is a demon. He's not a nice, cheerful Joe. It's not like I've got a fucking Ewok. Although, would I pay to see an Ewok stuffed in the trunk of a car? That's a movie. It's not this movie. Hey, Lily. Thanks for joining us. Nice to see you.
All right, hold on. I'm going to bring this up here.
Great.
Is Lily here watching?
Evil Ewoks, the Gremlins. This is, I think, yes. Well, hang on. Isn't an Ewok and a Mogwai basically the same thing? I think you can get Ewoks wet, and I think you can feed them after midnight. So I think that's okay with Ewoks.
I don't know what you're talking about here.
Ewoks and Mogwai. Anyway, just
okay. Well, for all you people who aren't watching and are listening, I don't know what he's talking about either. So you're with me.
Lily, who's watching, says evil Ewoks are gremlins.
Great, I love it. You know, I gotta say though, Gizmo, it's my man.
I know. Yeah.
I love Gizmo.
I love Gizmo.
The movie is not a fucking kids movie. I don't know what it was. I had Gizmo dolls. I like slept with a fucking Gizmo doll.
Yeah,
like,
the first one's distinctly scarier than the second one. The second one I watched and loved, aged like 10. I really liked.
Yeah, I mean, what
10-year-old version of me really liked that.
I mean, Gremlins 2 must have come out late 80s.
I want to say 91, 90 or 91.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, by the time Gremlins 2 came out, I don't want to age myself, but yes, I was
You,
I
you were
I
26
saw-
years old and working in a bar in Hollywood.
I saw the original Gremlins, probably not in the theater, but it was 84. So I definitely saw it on cable.
Right.
But like, I don't know why, like, I'm like as a kid, like as like what 7, 8 years old, I'm watching fucking
Right.
Gremlins and having a Gizmo doll. That shit was
1990 was when the new batch came out.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was looking. You just couldn't see that I was.
I couldn't see that you were looking.
Yes.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right.
Anyway, we
So-
digress.
Gremlins. So easy to get distracted, you know.
That's Lily for you. It's just always there, just
You know what
distracting.
though? Gotta say, all you writers out there, we all do this, right? We all get distracted and off.
Totally. Yeah.
It's just-
Yeah.
aware of
So okay. So
chair
system chair opposite.
and we get, and at this point, I think we're going to take
get.
two tactics here.
Yeah.
First, he tries to be nice.
Yep.
With the steak.
But then
But
the
it
guy refuses to talk. So
turns-
he's like, I didn't want to have to do this, you know.
Good
And yes.
And so,
And-
here's my question: what does Hank want out of him right now? What is this scene? Let's talk about what Hank is coming into this scene wanting. What?
So he's been getting a lot of readings from his equipment lately over the past week or two. He found this guy just wandering around. First, he was like, you know, what order are you? I'm a succubus. You know, what's a succubus doing out here? You guys don't come up here. You know, he starts. I'm not going to say anything. And but ultimately, it's finding out what all of the hellish activity has been about and why. And ultimately, he's going to, I think, get the same line of code, the same rhyme that Charlize is going to decipher later on as well, potentially.
What rhyme?
Sorry, like whatever. I can't scroll on your screen. What did Charlize do? So we had talked about the signs being threefold, hadn't we? There were going to be.
I thought we went completely away from the signs and went just to the
Spidey sense.
first of Spidey sense.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We had like an entire episode.
Yeah.
We
So
know
it's just okay. So she just has Spidey sense, which is that
Which
this thing is happening. So, but ultimately, he must be able to, at the end of this scene, be able to go, I know where I'm going. I'm going to get in my truck and I'm going to drive to Portland.
So here's what I'm thinking. This guy. So I like what you were saying a moment ago, which is that Hank's been getting lots of activity recently, which is cool, right? And we should see on like a big screen, like various places in GPS where he's where this
or a map
spiked, right?
Yeah.
And I like the idea that this guy he found at one of those, but it wasn't the main one, but he can't be at all of them. But he found captured him, right? And he's never seen anything like this before. And we can establish that here. What the fuck is going on? There has never in his entire 20 years of hunting demons been 20 spikes in 5 days.
Totally.
Like, what the hell? And literally, no pun intended. And this demon, somehow he manages to convince him or trick him or torture him into spilling the beans, which is, it's because the demonic energy has risen to a level where it's over for you. The time of humans on Earth is done. You're finished. And then
ultimately,
let me finish.
And
then what the thing in Portland is how he connects to, oh shit, that must have been the event that you're talking about that has that caused all of this demonic energy to rise.
Right.
And we saw him hear about it and look at it on the news, but it's because when he finds out, in the same way that Charlize will have essentially the same realization, this must have something like there. It's not a coincidence that a giant disaster just happened in a major city.
Yeah, and he's got so he's okay, all right, fine, cool, yeah. So ultimately, the demon says the time of the gets him to spill the beans and say, "You're done."
So we learned that Hank has seen a spike in demonic activity and doesn't know why.
Yes,
it's the most he's seen ever. The demon won't talk, but through torture.
Is there? Yeah, I was seeing an image in my mind, and randomly, I have a scene from the Dick Tracy movie in my head.
Okay.
And the scene is this: you've got Dustin Hoffman's character, I think he's called Mumbles, and he goes, and they go, he's just talking nonsense. He's like, no, and he slows down the record, and it's like, Big Boy did it, Big Boy did it, Big Boy did it. Like he's rambling, and you can't understand what he's saying.
Right.
But then he records it and slows it down, or does he like do this demonic thing where like he plays it backwards? Again, you've got that kind of weird thing of like playing records backwards and then being like, so is he like speaking in like tongues while he's torturing him? And we don't know what he's saying, but then he records it and he plays it back and he hears something. I think just there's something fun about the playing something backwards and this creature speaking in this weird something like that, don't I? That's my idea. Do what you want with it. This is the face, ladies and gentlemen, that Ben makes when he hears genius. He just doesn't know. He's just like, I don't know what to do with that.
I'm speechless. I actually like the instinct. I think the issue that I have with it though is that it just doesn't make any sense from a character standpoint of who the demon is. Now, if the demon was some sort of a more of a creature, or doesn't, or like if we made him more like animalistic, who doesn't speak English, and when he gives him the steak, he like eats it like a fucking hellhound or whatever, and then he manages to like figure something out. I kind of go for it. But if the demon speaks English and they're having a fight, like why is what does he do to make him start speaking tongues? And then even if he manages to start making him do that, why does
he's got some really inventive torture equipment?
I mean, all of a sudden but then also like
I've seen some stuff online. I've seen some stuff online that if it was done to me, I think I'd start talking backwards.
Why would he say that the Antichrist is here during that? Is where I guess
because he's being tortured, but of course he says it backwards.
I don't understand. I mean, I like again.
Hey, Ben. Let's go way back to Ernst Giannetti. It's emotion over logic. All right. What do I get from this? I get a cool, nice moment where Hank's gonna go, fine. You won't tell me. Guess I'm gonna have to open up my little box of toys. And the guy's eyes go wide. And you cut to later, and he's all like, fucking fucked on the floor. And Hank takes his tape recorder, whatever he's recorded it on, and he's playing it back. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But then he reverses it. Anyway, just it's that fun thing of taking, like people always, the fundamentalists, right, going, yeah, if you play the Beatles backwards, you hear Satan's voice saying, kill your parents and become a gay.
No, I get it. I mean, I get the gimmick. I totally do. And it's not that I don't like it, but I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more about like the how we get there. I'm down. I'm down with trying to make it work. I'm not saying I'm not.
Sure.
I'm not there yet. So let's play it through. First of all, Lily, though, to say how dare I wear a Star Wars tee and not know more about Ewoks, I wasn't part of that conversation.
Here's the thing.
You don't know how much I know about Ewoks.
Yeah, if you haven't seen a Caravan of Courage recently, you need to give that a watch.
I had the Ewok village as a toy, so top that. Anyway, in terms of this torture scene, if there was, for example, if we created some kind of a torturous, and I don't want to use holy water because I've seen that in Constantine, but let's say it was some kind of a poison or something that caused the demon to start having an epileptic seizure, but like specifically because this is what they use as like the LSD for demons, like
what's the demonic truth serum?
Like, yes, like if there was a demonic truth serum that all of a sudden started them going, and started doing that thing, like if there was actually like a thing that caused that, and it wasn't just
what if there were some kind of he goes to one of the books in the corners, like, fine, you want to do it the hard way? Fine. Takes the book out, starts doing some kind of Latin-y type thing. He's reading some kind of holy scripture, like potentially. Like some kind of incantation. The thing starts fucking writhing around, like, and starts to kind of, and he records it, and then he plays it.
So that's cool. I'm trying to get to the recording and the backwards speak. That's where I'm bumping. Like, I like it because I could see him going in the moment of agony. I could see him going, "Yes, screwed, the Antichrist is here." And then you go, "Thank you. That's exactly what I was wanting to know." Like, I get that. How do I get to why is he talking forwards now and talking backwards when he's getting
he talks backwards because I'm doing the incantation stuff. I'm actually
makes people talk backwards.
I'm actually speaking demon speak, which is when you play it backwards, it sounds like this.
Okay, so what we're saying is that the language of demons can be played backwards and sound like
and change the speed of it. Yeah. But I genuinely don't think anyone's going to go. So let me get this straight. Whenever demons are just hanging out in hell, they speak at a different speed and backwards. Just go. It's
not even about that. It's about going, huh? Like, I don't need like a logical explanation. I just need an explanation.
Sure.
Like it doesn't need to like be scientific, like it doesn't need to actually make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's going to, because it's a demon.
Sure.
But I just kind of go, at the moment, I just kind of go, huh? Like, what? Why?
Okay.
Sure. But I like it. But I just kind of just go, huh? Should I do that again? I go,
huh?
So yeah, I mean, like, is this something that like?
We can leave it as a placeholder for the moment and come up with something a little bit later on. Han goes to search the demons. Okay, don't talk about through torture. Han gets into spill. Perhaps he starts speaking in like weird. Chris asks, I noticed that Ben does most of the typing. Is that a preference or because Jake can only think by mussing with his hair? Yeah, the answer is yes. Yes. At the moment, Ben is doing most of it. I'm happy to do any of the typing at any point. You know,
Absolutely.
maybe
you,
if I,
don't you have the ability to share your screen as well, Jake?
I do have the ability to share my screen as well. Yep, I can present as well. So maybe I'll do that next time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, massaging my head does help stimulate thoughts, Chris. So that is why I'm constantly doing it. Especially now my hair is a bit more of a manageable length. I can do it a little easier.
Right.
So,
maybe okay. So maybe he uses a demon tongue thing and can play it
backwards. And it sounds like normal speech. Yeah, they're just kind of playing with that thing that you think, oh, it's the demon's work, it's the demon's music, the devil's music, something like that.
Right.
We're an hour and 5 though, Benj. We should probably wrap this mofo up for the day.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
You're leaving me though on a place of going. I'm deep in thought still at the moment.
Okay, we can keep going. It's fine.
No, it's okay. I think it is a good place to wrap up because nobody wants to just sit there and watch me go.
Perhaps, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So we'll do one show tomorrow, and then you're going to have a baby, and then we'll come back next Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes,
Tuesday. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lily.
If you just joined us now and you want to go back and listen to our little chat on IP,
yes,
first half of the episode, we started off that way today.
Yep.
So check it out, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, dude. See you again. Bye.